Okay, welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today, I'm thrilled to have with us Bijan Samawat with ORA Dog Training. Bijan, how are you?
Very good, very good. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time. Very
Absolutely.
curious to hear more about your business. So please tell us a little bit about you and the business.
Absolutely. So my name is Bijan Samawat. I'm the owner and the head trainer at ORA Dog Training. We are a dog training company that focuses on pet dogs, so family dogs, anything from your 10-pound Chihuahua to a 145-pound Bull Mastiff. And our specialty is obedience training, public access training, where we take the dogs that pee and poop in the house, chew on your furniture, bring them in, train them, make them well behaved, and good parts of the family unit, without turning them into robots or doing lobotomies on them. But they're still your fun loving goofy little pet, but they have some manners. So that's what we do and what we specialize in. The main product that I do is a board and train program, which is like an intensive course where the dogs come to me, stay with me for a minimum stay of 21 days. And in that time, we cover all the basic obedience, the public access, like I said, and then we do a long intensive lesson with the owners, where they also get, video and reading material. They get access to an online course, and they have access to us for a lifetime via phone, text, or email to make sure that they and their dogs are set up for success.
Okay, very interesting. And so how long have you been in business?
I started the business in 2013, so it's been like a decade now. Yeah, so I've been around. Thank you, yes.
That is not easy to do. So tell us, back in 2013 or right before that, what were you doing before starting the business?
So I'm originally from Germany, and I moved to the US in 2011, and then did a couple of different business ventures. I was working in real estate for a while, and I purchased a dog, and I started working with my own dog and a trainer, and I really enjoyed the dog work. Right. So, and my dog was a Weimaraner. She turned out really nice, very good. And I would walk her around Brooklyn. I used to live in New York, and would walk her off leash all over the neighborhood. And everybody's always asking me how I did it. So I started helping people in the neighborhood. And my trainer back then, he was saying, like, man, you really have a hand for this. And you're good with people. You're good with the dogs. Maybe you should do something with it. And so when the real estate was fun and I enjoyed doing it, but it wasn't my passion. And I really liked the dog work. And I always used to teach as when I lived in Germany as well, in different facets. And so that combination there really, triggered me in a way where I was like motivated to do it. And so I actually started working with rescue organizations, and I would, approach rescue organizations, ask them if they have any dogs that they could not adopt out because those dogs had too many issues, because they were aggressive or fearful or anxious. And I would foster these dogs and then work with them and then help find homes for them. And then this is basically how I got into the dog training world. And then I had a few different trainers that I would go and apprentice with and learn from. One of the big ones was James Ham, the Lone Star dog trainer in Texas. And I went there to Texas, stayed there for months at a time, and worked and trained under him. He's a 30-year Army vet that did, 27 of his 30 years military working dogs. And his father was a hunting dog trainer. Okay. So I learned all the structure and, safety boundaries, all that kind of stuff from the dog training out of the military, combined with, the reliability and, the fun and excitement of the hunting dog world. And then myself coming from the rescue background, it was a great combination that really helped me, find my part in the pet training world, where I get dogs that come from breeders, where I get dogs that come from rescue homes or rescue places that are very different and have to be addressed in different ways. but still I want to get to the same outcome. They're all supposed to be nice and happy and obedient.
Right.
That's kind of how I I followed my passion, something that I enjoy doing, something I really like doing, and just went for it basically.
So walk us through the different services you offer now.
So my main program that I do is a board and train program, which is where the dogs, they come to me, stay with me for a minimum stay of 21 days. I teach 16 to 22 commands to an off-leash level, and then they get the dog back trained. So in the time that I have the dog in the house, I usually have about 6 to 8 dogs in the house for training, so I can work the dogs with other dogs, around other dogs, socialize them in a structured and controlled environment. And then we work on all the basics: sit, down, place, heel, walking on the leash nicely, come when called. And once we build that foundation here in the house, we take the dogs out in public. So I work them in the neighborhood, take them to the park, take them to Home Depot, making sure that the dogs know how to work in and around high distraction environments. And then once the dogs are fully trained, we do a 3-hour lesson with the owners, where we go over everything that I've done with the dogs so that they know how to reinforce and maintain the training. Right? 21 days, build a habit. 90 days, build a lifestyle. The Germans say it takes 2,500 repetitions to create muscle memory. So even though I work the dogs here and I build that foundation, it's really important and crucial for the success that the owners know how to maintain that training. Now, in addition to the lesson that I do with them, they get video and reading material from me. They get access to my online course. And there's a lifetime aftercare where they have always access to me, where they can call, text, or email if they have questions. What I usually do is I create a WhatsApp group where people can send me where I send them updates about their dogs, but they can also send me updates, on what they're doing and what they're working on and how they're working on it, so that I can maintain the work with them. So and I can say like, hey, you need to move your feet differently or whatever it is. But it's not like I take the dog and bring it back and disappear. But it's like, keeping the relationship open.
Yeah, I'm sure if it's not continued, right, and they don't follow the direction that you teach the owner in the, while you're handing it back off, I'm sure a lot of it's just lost, right? And can be wasted time and money for you, for them, for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, think about it like if you're going on a diet for a month, and then, you eat good, you train well, and after a month, you go back to burgers and fries, you just wasted a whole month.
Yeah.
So you need to maintain the training. The thing that happens though over time is once you build that foundation, once you went through those 2,500 repetitions, it becomes, like I said, muscle memory. Now you don't have to be on top of the dog all the time, but now the dog knows the system, knows what it's allowed to do, what it's not allowed to do. And then you can start giving the dog more freedom.
Right.
It's like if you start a new job position somewhere, somebody has to train you on the job first. If they want you to do it a certain way, at a certain pace, at a certain time, they have to show you how to do that. Now, once they show you, you have to show to them that you understood how to do it. And then they can start giving you more space where they don't have to oversee you anymore. Yeah. As much, right? But it's the same thing that happens with the dogs. And that's when you can start giving the dog more freedom. You don't have, there's less crate time. You can allow your dogs on the furniture if you wanted to, things like that. Sure.
Are you mainly getting puppies when people first get a dog, or are you sometimes getting it, adolescents when they're just not, the family has failed in the training, so they're looking for another option? Which that's us, by the way.
Yeah, usually it's a combination. So I don't take the dogs for the board and train until they're 6 months of age.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that's when the dog's brain is fully developed, and I can start holding the dog more accountable. Yeah. It's like trying to teach a 3-year-old compared to a 10-year-old.
Right.
You will repeat yourself on a 3-year-old over and over and over, but at 10, they should actually know some things, and they're also able to, retain it better. Okay. So, and it's the same thing with the dogs. At 6 months, that's also when most of the dogs, they sexually mature as well. So if they're not spayed or neutered at that time, they kind of go into that puberty stage where, they start chewing more and running more and being more, out of control, so to say. And that's when I like to take the dogs in around 6 months. Now, I do get dogs though from 6 months to 6 years, 7 years. My cutoff time is probably around 8. Just because depending on the dog's breed, we're kind of like reaching the end of the lifespan. And at that point, that's trying to teach an 80-year-old or a 90-year-old, that makes sense.
Old dog, new tricks, right? Literally.
I mean, you can with the 6-7-year-olds, especially when they have a rescue history where they were somewhere else before and we don't know what's going on. We can still teach them things and they can still learn it. It just takes more time because we have to undo a lot of the habits. But at some point when the dog is like, 10, just keep them happy, out of pain. You can add a little bit of structure, but sending them to a full-on board and train is usually a little bit of overkill. And that's why I usually recommend for people to do like maybe more like something like private lessons and where we just add some more structure to the household to, create a happier life for the owners and for the dog.
Sure. So what are some of the mistakes you see, dog owners make in either the regular living environment or them trying to train the dog that you normally have to fix that most of us are doing incorrectly?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that people humanize their dogs, right? And that's what I'm saying by that is that they put their own emotions into the training. And so they feel bad, for instance, putting the dog in a crate, right? They say like, oh, I feel bad for it. It looks like punishment. But for the dog, it's a den, right? And if you create a positive association with it, just like how you are happy in your house, you don't feel punished when you go in your home. We can create that by, feeding the dog in the crate, having them sleep in the crate, giving them toys and treats in the crate, and creating a positive association with it. Now, the crating helps you to create a lot of structure because you're taking a lot of freedom away from the dog, but with taking away freedom, you're also taking away responsibility. And with that taking away responsibility, you also take away stress. Especially as you as business owners all know that if you are employed somewhere, you show up at 9, you work till 5, you go home, day's done. Yeah. Now, as a business owner, we start the moment we wake up and we work until we fall asleep, and then we start it all over again, right? So it never ends. Now, do we have more freedom into deciding what and when we want to show up at work? Absolutely. But we also carry all the responsibility of where do we get the next client? How do we keep this in check? Is our website up to date? And so on and so forth, right? So we have more freedom, but more responsibility, more stress. So now with my dogs, I like to take away that responsibility so they have a less stressful life. They have a more peaceful life. And then all they have to do is show up, look cute, and do what I tell them to do.
Seems easy enough, right?
Pretty simple. Most of the things that I do are not rocket science. They're like common sense things that that most people don't think about in in a context of the dog world. Like it's things that I would tell you right now. You're like, absolutely yes, but you never thought about it with your dog.
Right.
And the freedom thing is one, the crate is another, and then communication. Your dogs don't speak English, so when you talk to your dog and the dog gets spooked or scared by something, it's like, oh, it's okay, baby, it's okay. It's just a dump truck. Sounds the exact same as, good boy, very nice. Keep doing what you're doing. So now you're accidentally reinforcing the wrong behavior. So if your dog's at the end of the leash barking at another dog across the street and you just keep telling him, don't do that. That's not nice. Don't stop. It's just a dog. For your dog, in their mind, it's like, yes, keep doing, keep going, keep going.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to redirect and I give the dogs a job, right? Just like when you think about people who have panic attacks, you have to teach them coping mechanisms. If I yell and scream at you when you have a panic attack, it's not going to work. If I try to baby you when you have a panic attack, it's also not going to work. So prior to that, you and I practiced breathing exercises, coping mechanisms, and now we can apply them in the situation. So all my obedience training that I do with the dog, sit down, place, heel, redirecting the dog's attention to me, helps me that when in a stress situation where the dog doesn't know what to do, I tell them what to do and I can redirect their attention and therefore create a more calm and relaxed experience for the dog. But I'm also helping the dog to be successful, building confidence in themselves, but also confidence in me as the handler because I'm the one in charge. Yeah. You don't have to do this. I got you, boo boo. This is how we do this.
Right. Are you the main trainer on your team?
Yes, I am. I have two other trainers that work with me, but I'm the one who does all the work.
Okay, understood.
No, I have two really good trainers that work with me. I have one full-time trainer, one part-time trainer that work with me that I have trained myself. Because obviously, like I like to get the things done the way I want to get them done in my company. And so I have to train them first. So I do the same thing that I do with my dogs. I show them what to do, when to do, how to do it, and then I will maintain it. Now, when I show that to them, they have to show me that they understood how to do it as well.
Yeah.
Because only when I go to salsa classes and the instructor does all these fancy moves, and I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'll step all over my wife's feet. She's not happy.
Right.
So I need to practice it, and it takes some time. But so I trained these guys, and they're very good trainers. They're fantastic, and they help me a lot with my work that I do, because now it gives me the ability to also work multiple dogs at the same time. And especially when you have dogs that are either have reactivity issues because they're too excited or because they're nervous and anxious with other dogs around. Now I can set them up for these situations in a structured environment instead of me trying to go to a dog park and feel like, all right, let's see if we are lucky today with somebody. I don't want to do that. I always try to set myself and my dogs up for success. And so we do it in a structured and controlled environment with other professionals so that we can make the adjustments on the dog on hand. And that's been working very well.
Yeah. Well, it must be, because very, very low percentage of businesses get to 10 years. And you must have some good words of wisdom for reaching that milestone that you can share with other business owners who may be just starting out. What are some of the words of advice you would give to other business owners?
Well, what I would think is what's important is if you do something that you are passionate about and that you enjoy doing, and you focus on that, you will become successful. Because people will tell, they can tell if you're doing something because you think it's a job and you're doing it for the money, or if you're doing it because you're passionate and you're excited about it. People can tell the difference. I do think it's important to set boundaries. I do think I know money is an important thing when you have a business, but if you focus on the quality of your work rather than the money will come by itself. Because once you start a business, like let's say my business, I started with one leash and one collar. That's because that's all the money that I had, and that's what I started with. And over time, people will talk about you. They will talk about how you work and how passionate you are about your work. And now all of a sudden, your waiting list goes from like you having 2 dogs a month to like having 3 dogs a month to having 3 months, booked out in advance. And that's the moment when you can start increasing your money, right? But that comes over time, and it comes because you are delivering a solid and good product. When you get to a point where you feel overwhelmed, you have too much to do, increase the price, but keep the same level of work. So I will not go over a certain amount of dogs in my house, even though I have the increase for it, because I know the quality of my work will suffer, right? And at the end of the day, all my dogs that go out of here, I always tell this to my clients, I cannot give them a guarantee for the training because we're talking about animals, but they are my walking, talking billboard.
Sure.
Right? All the advertising, the Google and all is great. But like when people say like, hey, do you know a guy? And that's the person that gets recommended,
Right.
it's worth all the money in the world, right? So I do think that it's important to focus on the quality of the work, do the things that you do with a passion. If you can tell somebody is going to be trouble for you, if you feel like, man, working with this person is already a headache before you even started, it's not worth the money. Because you will not be happy, they will not be happy. And the one-star review that you get on Google costs you so much more than just saying like, hey, you know what? I don't need the $3,000 or $4,000 right now. Just sorry, I'm booked right now. I'm sorry, I can't help you, or this is not my expertise, or whatever it is you say. But focusing on your quality, focusing also creating a good work-life balance. I know it's sometimes hard because we're all chasing the money, But at the end of the day, if you don't have time, all the money in the world is not worth anything.
Right. You don't have time to use it.
Exactly.
And really good point there. Not all revenue is good revenue. And that is very true.
Very much so, yeah.
Bijan, thank you so much for walking us through your business. And
my pleasure.
Especially down here in South Florida, the amount of dog owners is crazy, right? So they're everywhere right now because it's a very dog friendly area. So you see them in all walks of life. And I wish I could take my dogs somewhere. So I may need to call you to come help me out. But
absolutely.
And say the name of the business. I think I said it wrong. Is it ORA?
ORA Dog Training. Stands for
ORA.
obedience. Yeah, it stands for obedience, relationship, and affection. So the pillars of the training that we do, we want to get obedience, but we need to build a relationship that is, founded on affection. We're not a pure positive program, but we're not the old school, Keeler method or pressure program. We're trying to build a balance. Everybody works better when they get paid. But if I have to teach you to do something first, now you know how to do it. If you do it, you get paid. But if you decide to do it differently, well, that's not optional. I always tell my clients, if as long as your dog is not paying rent, cooking dinner, or picking up their own poop, their opinion doesn't matter. I love you very much, but you got to do what I tell you to do.
Words to live by. Very nice. Bijan, thank you so much for your time. I really
My pleasure, Matt.
It was very nice to hear about the business. Congratulations on 10 years, and here's to many more.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.